What's going on, everyone? This is Raymond Roots of The Blueprint, and today I want to share 3 tips with you that can help you improve your chances of landing clients. So without further ado, let's get to it. Roll the intro. Now, before we get started, I want to encourage all you guys and gals to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications for our channel. We upload every Friday and we drop a podcast episode every single Monday, and our goal is to hit 300 subscribers by the end of February. So make sure you go ahead and subscribe to our channel. And our goal is to bring creatives some sort of value that they can use to enhance their business, or they can use to improve their skills in whatever field that they're in. So the way we do that is dropping these videos on our channel and the podcast that we're dropping as well, where we bring on guests who are industry insiders, who are established in the creative industry, and we talk about tips and tricks and their journey into becoming established on the market. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast as well. It's on every single podcast platform. Now let's get to it. Tip number 1 is business value. This tip is something you can make use of if you're established in the field, but certainly also if you are a beginner. This is definitely something that you can use as well. What you want to do is you want to understand the business value of your product or service. And what that actually means in reality is that you want to help your potential client to understand business benefits of your work. So in the age of social media, a lot of businesses just want to be present and fit in. So they will come to you, let's say, for a video, and they want a video done for their business. But if you just dive a little bit deeper, many times they haven't actually done an analysis of whether or not the price of that video is actually worth it. So what you end up getting is you get clients who are grossly underbidding and who are actually really shocked when you tell them what your actual rate is. So why does that happen? Well, in most cases, it's because they haven't looked at it from a business perspective, but more so from a I want to fit in perspective. People will pay to fit in, but they'll pay way more if they know they can make money off of something. So what is your role here? Well, what you got to do is be very honest and come from a place of empathy. You want to come from a place of understanding. Your primary goal isn't to sell. Your primary goal is to find out if there's an actual need for your service. Ask them the right questions like, what do you want to achieve with this video? What is the purpose of getting this video done? So those are typically good starting points. And depending on the answers to those questions, you can generate even more questions that can create some sort of value. That could be something like, is it intended to boost sales? How much additional revenue do you expect to gain from this one project? What you want to do is really understand the needs of their business. You want to understand their business and the problems, and then you evaluate whether or not you actually need this sort of solution. Pretend that it's your own business making this decision. So you want to understand the needs of the business. And you know what? If it turns out that there's no need for the business to make this investment, you got to be very honest with yourself and your client and tell them, you know what? I don't think this is a good business decision to make. Now, I can make it for you, but I don't think it's a wise choice because it's just going to be money out of the window. And at the end of the day, getting one client one time is fine, but what you really want is returning customers. So what I would encourage you to do is be honest and say, you know what, I can do it, but it's not a good business decision, not until at least you've done some sort of analysis to figure out whether or not this is a feasible investment. So if they're just doing it to fit in, honestly, they probably won't gain a lot from it unless they do it consistently, and that can be very expensive and take a lot of time. But because they haven't created this strategy on how to make money from this investment, they probably know they can't make a lot of money from it. And because of that, they're not going to pay whatever it is that you're asking for. And that brings me to tip number 2. Make them say it. The last thing you want to do is end up pitching. You don't want to talk in any case from a defensive position. I'm not in this room to convince you to get my service or product. I'm not in this room to tell you why you need me. I'm not in this room to tell you that you need me. I'm here to understand if your business has a need for the product or service that I'm providing, and I want you to tell me that you have that need. If I have to tell a client that there's money to be made and they need to get this video done, well, that's a really hard sell because that's what salespeople do. And I'm not here as a salesperson. I don't know if you actually need this video done before I actually understand your problem. I'm going to ask the right questions, and together we'll figure out if there's an actual business need for it. Now, some businesses, they do their due diligence and their work before meetings, and that's great. But a lot of businesses really don't. So that's why you got to ask some really, really good questions, regardless of whether or not they've prepared prior to the meeting or not, Because what you want to do is you want to understand the business. And even if they're prepared so much that they know that they need it, you want to indicate to them that you're actually trying to understand it from a business perspective as well. You're not just trying to sell them a service. So what I want is this. You're the one who's going to tell me that your current content doesn't align with your brand or vision or whatever the case may be. You're the one who's going to tell me that your revenue will increase by X amount of percent if I make this video for you. If I have to tell you that, that's a hard sell. But you know what? If the client realizes, holy crap, this is going to make me some money, and they say it with their own words, then they're much more likely to hire you. And that's what you really want to strive for. If your client tells you that they expect a 5% increase in revenue per month from the product or service that you're providing, that is so much more valuable than if you had to tell them that they could increase their revenue by 5%. But in order for that to happen, you have to have implemented tip number one. You have to understand that there's a business problem that needs to be solved. For example, we aren't visible enough on social media, or our current content doesn't align with the vision that we have for our brand. Those are business problems that you can solve. Now, the second thing is they started putting numbers on. They've told you that the business is going to benefit 5% per month from the service that you're providing. So what you do from here is you evaluate whether or not you can solve their business problem. You have to be very honest with yourself and with your client. If you can't, then say no, because if you deliver a bad product, that's going to be so much worse than if you just say no and miss out on that one-time payment. But if you can solve that business problem, you can price your product in direct relation to the benefit that they are having. And let me give you a very specific example, a personal example. So about 2 to 3 years ago, a personal trainer approaches me and he says he wants videos done to get more clients. Now, I know this guy, and I know his client retention is extremely high. We're talking over 50%. Let's just say around 70% probably. So that means for every 10 clients that he gets, about 7 of them become returning customers who book classes every single week. So once they're in, they rarely leave his business. So I tell him off the bat that I want to evaluate first and foremost, is there even a need for video production? And we talk about his revenue last year, and we talk about his anticipation of what he expects his revenue is going to be. And let's, for argument's sake, just say it's 100,000. That could be dollars, euros, pounds, whatever. Let's just say 100,000 of whatever. Now, just keep in mind, some clients may not want to disclose this, but because I knew him and because he really trusted me, I was able to get this information. And of course, I'm not doing this with hostile intentions. So a lot of the trust really comes from coming from an empathetic perspective and really wanting to understand the business. And sometimes, honestly, just saying, no, I can't fix your problem. I'm not good enough at this, or I'm not able to fix your business problem. That really creates trust between you and your clients. So what he tells me is that he expects videos to drive up his revenue X amount of percent. Now, it's 2-3 years ago, so I can't really remember how much, but let's just say 10% for argument's sake. So based on that information, I can do some calculations in my head. He expects a 10% increase of 100,000, which means his valuation of that video is 10,000. That could be euros, pounds, whatever, dollars, whatever. So 10,000 is what he believes that my video will help his business with. Now I have specific numbers based on his own business numbers that I can work off of. I can charge 100, I can charge 5,000, I can even charge 9,500. Because as long as it's based on his own numbers, if it doesn't exceed the value that he's getting, then it is valuable for him, because without the video, he's not going to get that extra 10% boost. Those are his own words. So as long as the calculations are based on his own numbers, you know what your price limit is, what your price cap is. Now, if he disagrees with the value of the video, that means that he's disagreeing with himself. And honestly, that just doesn't happen that often. These are numbers that he gave himself. But if your client does disagree, you go back and you do it all over again. What is your revenue? What do you want to make? What do you expect this video to do for your business? You start all over and then you find out a better price. Now, I don't want you to start thinking of this as a way of trapping your client, because it's really not. This is one way to get your client to think that it makes sense business-wise for them. And if you get that sorted, it's so much easier to get them to sign a contract, and eventually you'll actually deliver a product that they are appreciative of and they want more of that. So we don't want to be in there pitching. This is much more powerful than pitching ideas. What is the best way to communicate the first 2 steps? Well, that is covered in my next step. First, a brief message from our sponsors.
It's MIVisuals here for the blueprint, and today I'm here to tell you something very important. Fix your damn posture. You look like a fetus in the womb. You look like a confused worm. Okay, fix your posture. I'm not going to tell you again. Okay?
Golden advice. Let me just fix my posture. All right, here we go. Tip number 3. If you can, meet them in person. Meet your clients in person. And if that's not possible, the least you can do is get on a phone call. If you get a lead, a hot lead or a cold lead or whatever they call it these days, I would not recommend email or social media communication to begin with. So much of our communication is a mixture of verbal and nonverbal communication. With texting or emailing, most of that is just lost. No one can hear the tone in your voice or the way that you're saying it, and no one can feel or see your nonverbal communication either. So what you're left with are words, and words without tone, pitch, and body language can be interpreted a million different ways. What you want to do is ensure that the message being received is interpreted the exact way you intended it to be received. And the only way to really do that is to meet your clients. And if that's not possible, get on a Zoom call, a Teams meeting, or at least give them a phone call. Let them hear the tone in your voice. If I start talking about revenue and boosting your sales through videos, and if I do all of that through an email, it's gonna feel horrible. It all sounds mechanic and rehearsed, and maybe even in some cases, it may even come off as you being nosy. You know what? Sometimes it can feel like an interrogation because you're just asking question after question after question. And the problem here is you and your client don't have the body language of the other person to react off of. So essentially, not meeting your clients or getting on the phone with them, it affects your business, but it also affects them and their comfort and trust in you. So eliminate that risk by meeting your clients in person. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that will be it for me for today. If you like these tips, make sure you like this video, give it a big fat thumbs up, and of course, drop a comment down below. If you have other tips, feel free to share them down below as well. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We are actively fighting the YouTube algorithm, and our goal is to hit 300 subscribers by the end of this month of February 2021. So we need every one of our viewers to subscribe. Right now, about 90% of our viewers are not subscribing. That's crazy. If you're watching these videos and you enjoy them, go ahead and subscribe, bro. Hit that notification bell as well. It's not going to hurt you. It's free, it's educational, and we're dropping consistently good content. And of course, as I've mentioned plenty of time, and as you may have known, we have a podcast where we drop an episode every single Monday. We talk to industry insiders about their tips and tricks and their journey into the industry. And it's super helpful. It can help you. It can help me in becoming better at our craft and better at doing business. So we're just going to wrap this up. Until next time, stay safe, stay productive, and of course, stay happy. Peace.